I believe the corporate world is dying as we know it. The 9 to 5 structure that has been around for almost 100 years now. I don't think it's going to be around much longer, and I think it's changing before our very eyes, especially with the integration of AI and people waking up to the fact that this 9 to 5 structure is completely outdated. Now, if you're watching this and you are maybe on the other edge of this argument saying, no, the 9 to 5 is a great system, I'd love to hear your argument in the comments, but here's mine. Number one, companies are unwilling to adapt to current times. They live in outdated system, right? Meaning we have companies requiring their workers to go into an office 5 days a week to do a job that they can get done at home in less time. They're required to go out of their way to drive to an office, to sit on a computer, to do work that they could be doing at home. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. This is something that I just never understood is after COVID, right? They had this big return to work policy where they said everyone needs to come back to the office. That is nothing but a control thing. It has to be because I can't think of anything else, right? That and two, the whole I call it a 9-hour workday because that's what it is. The 9 to 5 really now is an 8 to 5 with a hour unpaid lunch, right? And so, people are really spending almost 10 hours a day with their jobs when they are commuting. Even if your commute is just 30 minutes, which is probably about average for a lot of people, that turns into a 10-hour day. You leave at 7, get there at 8, you have your lunch, you get back at around 6 if you're driving through traffic, right? And so this whole 8-hour workday is turned into a 10-hour workday that you're only getting paid 8 hours for. And here's the problem. The people who are working these corporate jobs are spending 45, 50 hours a week at these jobs, and they're not able to pay for things that they used to be able to pay for 20, 30, 40 years ago. Back in the day, right? A lot of the older generation will say, well, the younger generation is just lazy and they don't want to work, and that's why they complain about the 9 to 5. Well, no, that's not necessarily true. The prices have gone up of things over time. Inflation has occurred, but the value, our wages have not kept up with the inflation for a lot of things, like buying a house, right? Someone in their 20s or 30s right now who has a college degree and got a job can't even buy a house. They can't afford it. The housing prices have skyrocketed, and it's not been in correlation with the prices of the wages, right? And so people are struggling to just buy basic necessities. All of their money is being thrown away on rent, and rent prices are through the roof. Food prices are high, right? And people don't have enough money left over to save. A $70,000 salary is barely enough for one person to live, even if you are smart with your money and smart with your budgets. Right? I had a problem doing that. There's a lot of people who make $75,000, $80,000 a year and struggle to save living alone, yet alone if they have a family or debt. And it's almost like a lot of people are just waking up to the fact where it's like, I'm spending all my time working, but what am I working towards? It doesn't make any sense. Right? At least back in the day, you were working towards something. You worked, but you got to come home to your house and you didn't have to worry so much about, am I going to have a job tomorrow? Because guess what? With AI coming in, there are layoffs every single day with these companies. There's no trust. That's why pensions don't exist anymore, right? There's no loyalty between employers and employees. Employees will leave a company quickly and employers will cut employees without any warning. But if an employee were to go ahead and just cold turkey quit, they'd get a bad reputation. Right. So it's not a very, it's a very one-sided kind of avenue when it comes to that. Right. And so there's just a lot of cracks. Right. Another thing, the whole 5-day work week to me, I am a firm believer that I don't think we need 5 days in a row of work, Monday to Friday. It would almost make more sense to just do a 4-day work week, and get people would still be efficient enough to get their done, because 2-day weekends, by the time Sunday rolls around, it just feels like you're almost kind of just getting ready for the week, and Sunday just becomes one of those days where it's almost a little bit depressing. Sunday comes and you're just like, well, that sucks. That went fast, right? So it just the whole 2-day weekend, 5-day work week just doesn't make any sense to me, when I think that it can be just fine with a 4-day week, So 9-hour days, 5 days a week, people are getting burnt out and they're getting real sick of it. And there's no trust. and here's the scary part. And the truth of the matter is a lot of these jobs are going away. They're getting replaced by AI. Most of these jobs, even people with college degrees, their jobs are pretty, replaceable. A lot of these jobs are just systemic, meaning like AI can figure out, once you program it, how to do it, and that's it. And there's going to be thousands of people out of work, right? So companies are reporting all-time highs with their profits, but letting a lot of workers go. And a lot of these companies are outsourcing their work to, lower wage countries, right? And so that middle class here in America is separating. Right. And so I just think that that 9 to 5 system, there's a lot of problems with it. There are a ton of issues with the current 9 to 5 system, and I think it's genuinely making people just depressed. Now listen, if you're watching this video and you're this far in, you're sitting there thinking, well, there's a lot worse things than 9 to 5 job. Yeah, of course. And there's a lot of people who do need to work those type of jobs. Healthcare, is a big one, right? Blue collar work, right? Like I can already see the comments. Well, I work blue collar, and you're complaining about your 9 to 5. Well, I get it, man. There's a lot that goes into this with blue collar and healthcare, right? But at the end of the day, man, I'm talking about just the person who goes to college to get a business degree, goes in debt for that business degree, and then they can't even pay their debt off over time, right? With blue collar work, at least you go to a trade school, you're not in crazy debt, and you're getting paid a pretty dang good wage, and you're earning it. And I would even argue that there is a lot of value in blue collar work, right? Where at a corporate job, it's like you're so easily replaceable. There's no really skills that you're learning from that are transferable. And at least blue collar, there's some sort of value attached to it. But yes, blue collar work, nurses, healthcare, I think those people deserve more money than they already make. They are the backbone of this country. First responders too, teachers, right? I think they're all very underpaid, and they deserve everything that they make and more. But the average 9 to 5, that's what we're talking about in this video, because I worked it. I did the whole go to school, get a job thing, and it just felt so pointless. All of it felt so pointless. I think the older generation thinks that the younger generation is lazy just because we see right through it. We're just like, no, this is different. This isn't like 30 years ago. This isn't like 20 years ago. You guys didn't have AI to battle with. You didn't have the uncertainty. You were able to afford things, right? A lot of these people who work in these jobs, especially when I was working one, it was just like, I don't really see how there's really a comparison. There are people with college degrees right now graduating. They can't even get work. There's so many people who are applying and can't even get heard back from a company who they're applying to, So the future of work, it's just going to be a lot different. What do I see for the future? I see more independent contracting work. I think that the 9 to 5 thing is going to kind of go away. And I think it's going to be geared more towards people who have certain skills will get hired for roles for a contracted basis. And then if they do a good job, they'll just keep getting rehired and having that contract extended, right? I feel like that's just kind of something that's going to be, we're already seeing more of it, right? Especially with social media and marketing and sales, right? People who are good at what they do get hired under contract and then keep extending their contracts over and over again. I think that the contract work is going to pick up because the whole 9 to 5 thing, I just think, is going to go away. Not entirely, maybe anytime soon, but I think that there is a big movement towards people just saying, screw that, that's stupid. I'm not going to go sit in an office and waste my time and have to request PTO, right? Don't even get me started on PTO, right? When you want to take a vacation, you get one, maybe 2 vacations a year, and you have to ask for permission in advance, and they can still say no. I understand from a respect standpoint, right? You don't want to screw over your boss and your coworkers, but I'm sorry, it's my life. I'm here to work to live my life, right? I'm not living so that I can work this job. I'm working so that I can live my life. So if I want to take a vacation, I'm going to take a vacation. I had a huge issue with that when I was working, too. And all those, like the quarterly reviews of, I don't know, just when I was in the corporate world, it honestly just felt like I was a child. I was being treated like a child, report cards, one-on-ones with my manager. It's just like, look, you hired me to do a job. Let me do my job. Leave me alone. Let me do it. If I do a good job, pay me what I earn. You know what I mean? I feel like it just didn't make any sense. The corporate world's just almost gotten corny, and I will say this, ever since I left, if you're unfamiliar with my story, I left the corporate world in June to pursue self-employment. And I've documented the whole thing on my TikTok account called Fisher Effect, basically where I said I was going to make money online. I started from square zero and went all the way from $0 to a $10,000 a month to now just recently in August to $20,000 a month. And just to prove to everybody that there is more to life than the 9 to 5 world. So if that's of interest to you, you can check out those pages. If you're curious about what I did to make money, I did TikTok shop to make my first $10,000. If you guys want more information on that, I can refer you over to my mentor's page, or you can go ahead and check the description for a link to his channel and to book a call with him. But in terms of just the future for 9 to 5 jobs, and people who are currently in them, I will say this. I think it's very important that if you are working a 9 to 5 job, you are advancing your skill set outside of that job, because, there is no certainty. There is no guarantee that you'll be working there tomorrow. And that's a fact. They can let you go anytime for any reason. So always be developing your skill set. Always be reading books. Always be watching YouTube videos. finding opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities right now, but a lot of people aren't looking for them. Okay, I know a lot of this video came off as sort of the whole, victim mentality where there's nothing you can do. There's a lot you can do. It's just a lot of people need to be looking. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, a great place to start is just looking for online business models, because that is the future. Social media, online sales, marketing. Learn that stuff, because this 9 to 5 corporate world, one, sucks. Two, I don't think it's going to be around much longer. So I would say, go out, learn AI if you haven't yet. It's no point just hating on it. It's not going anywhere. So go out and learn it to the best of your ability, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be AI replacing jobs. It's the people who know AI replacing jobs. So now we're in a time where it is important that you learn this stuff, so at least you are not on the bad end of this. You know what I'm saying? So in order to prepare for it, I would say it's good to just be always advancing your skill set, always learning, always study kind of current events, what's happening, and look for opportunities. It is very easy to be discouraged and sit there and say, I hate my life, I hate my job. But at one point, you have to take a stand and go get your freedom back, go get your time back. All right. I will offer a lot of tips to help with this on this page. I wanted to just make a video about what I think the 9 to 5 world is going to look like here, and kind of why I didn't like it and why I left. But if this was helpful to you, or you're looking for more helpful tips on how to get out of your 9 to 5 job, that is what this page is going to be about. So make sure you throw me a subscription, a comment, let me know what you guys want to hear more of. I'm here to help. My name's Danny. Thank you for watching.